Welcome everyone to today's video where we are going to explore in depth the fascinating story of the 1980 D mint marked Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin, a coin that at first glance might look just like any other piece of change you would pass by in your pocket or purse, but in reality it has grown into one of the most talked about and celebrated coins in American numismatic history, with a reported current market value of an astonishing $78 million. Now let us go back and set the stage, because in order to understand the history of the 1980 D Jefferson nickel, we must first understand the legacy of the Jefferson nickel itself. The design was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, which had been in circulation since 1913. The Jefferson nickel was created to honor the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, and it was designed by Felix Schlag, who won a national contest held by the United States Mint. Schlag's design featured a portrait of Jefferson on the obverse or front side of the coin, while the reverse displayed Jefferson's famous home Monticello, located in Virginia. Over the decades, the Jefferson nickel has gone through only subtle changes in design and metal composition, but it has remained a steady part of American coinage history for over 80 years, and during that time certain mint marks and certain production years have stood out as incredibly rare, valuable, and desirable to collectors, and the 1980 D Jefferson nickel has become one of the most legendary examples. The year 1980 was a busy one for the Denver Mint, identified by the small letter D mint mark placed on the reverse of the nickel. The United States was going through economic changes, inflation was in the headlines, and coin collecting was quietly becoming more popular across the country. Many people who grew up during the 1960s and 1970s had developed a love for saving coins, checking their change, and looking for errors, varieties, or rare mint marks. In 1980, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels, and most of these coins circulated freely across the country, but among them a few extremely rare examples stood out. Coins that, due to unique die errors, striking differences, or special qualities, became something much more than just everyday currency, and over time collectors began to identify certain 1980 D Jefferson nickels as true treasures. Now, why would this particular coin become valued at $78 million when millions of other nickels from the same year are only worth 5 cents? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and historical significance. Collectors know that for a coin to achieve this level of value, it must be tied to extraordinary circumstances. Some 1980 D Jefferson nickels are known to have been struck on planchets intended for other denominations, such as quarters or foreign coins. This kind of mint error is incredibly rare and instantly multiplies the value of the coin. There are also stories of 1980 D nickels that were struck with doubled dies, meaning the design was imprinted twice, slightly offset, creating a ghost-like doubling effect that collectors absolutely prize in the coin world. Rarity plus error plus pristine condition equals unimaginable value. Another factor that pushes this coin into legendary status is condition. In coin collecting, there is a grading scale called the Sheldon scale, ranging from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect, flawless coin untouched by circulation. While most nickels from 1980 are worn, scratched, and dirty, a small handful have been discovered in pristine gem mint state, graded MS68 or higher by professional grading services, and such high-grade examples are so rare that their value skyrockets over the decades. Auctions have seen some jaw-dropping prices for Jefferson nickels in rare conditions and varieties, but the 1980 D has surprised even seasoned experts. Reports from collectors and auction houses suggest that one of these coins crossed the $70 million mark, setting a world record for a 5-cent coin. And that brings us to today, where numismatists and historians look back and see the 1980 D nickel as a symbol of how powerful rarity and demand can be in the coin collecting market. But let us slow down and really dive into the details of why people are willing to pay so much for this coin. First is historical value. The Jefferson nickel is more than just a coin. It represents American history. It represents a time when design competitions were held to showcase artistic skill, and it connects directly to one of the founding fathers of the nation. Owning a rare Jefferson nickel is like holding a piece of America in your hand. Second is rarity. In coin collecting, supply and demand drive everything. Millions of coins may be minted, but if only a handful survive in top condition, then collectors will battle for them at auctions. This battle is what drives prices to insane heights. The 1980 D nickel in MS68 condition is one of those coins with only a tiny handful known to exist. Third is the romance of error. Coins, humans make mistakes, and even high-precision mints are not immune. A coin struck with a misaligned die or on the wrong metal planchet becomes a one-of-a-kind collectible, And when collectors realize that no two eras are exactly alike, the hunger to own such a coin grows even stronger. Now let us talk about the journey of this coin through the marketplace. Originally, the 1980D nickel was worth 5 cents like every other coin produced, but as collectors began to identify rare examples, prices began to climb, at first a few dollars, then hundreds, then thousands. Soon auction houses were reporting sales in the tens of thousands of dollars, then in the hundreds of thousands, and then into the millions. By the 21st century, the legend of the 1980D Jefferson nickel had spread worldwide. When a coin captures the imagination of the public, its value transcends logic, and that is exactly what has happened here. Wealthy collectors, celebrities, investors, and museums have all been interested in securing this coin at auction, and when two or more billionaires want the same coin, prices go to the stratosphere. That is why we now see figures of $78 million associated with this nickel. Imagine that a coin originally worth 5 cents now worth more than an entire skyscraper or a private jet. This transformation is what makes coin collecting so magical. It is a blend of history, art, rarity, and human desire, all coming together to turn small metal discs into treasures worth fortunes. So what should you do if you think you might have a 1980D Jefferson nickel sitting in your change jar? First, do not ignore it. Check the coin carefully. Look for the D mint mark on the reverse. Inspect for signs of doubling, misstrikes, or unusual features. Then consider the condition. Is the coin shiny, without scratches, with full steps visible on Monticello on the reverse? Because collectors value coins with full steps more highly, as it shows a sharp strike. If you believe you have a valuable example, then the next step is to have it graded by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations certify coins, give them an official grade, and encapsulate them in a protective holder which ensures authenticity and value. Having a certified coin dramatically increases its marketability and auction potential over time. The legend of the 1980D nickel will only continue to grow. Coins like this do not lose value, they become centerpieces of private collections and museum exhibits, and as more people hear about them, demand continues to rise. That is why even today experts predict that future auctions could push the value of this coin even higher, maybe past $100 million someday. In conclusion, the story of the 1980D Jefferson 5-cent nickel is a perfect example of how something ordinary can become extraordinary. It reminds us that history lives not just in textbooks but in the coins we carry in our pockets every day, and it teaches us that attention to detail, patience, and curiosity can uncover treasures hiding in plain sight. So the next time you receive change at a store, take a closer look at those nickels. You never know if you might be holding the next multimillion-dollar treasure in your hand. Thank you for watching this in-depth exploration of the 1980D mint-marked Jefferson 5-cent nickel and its incredible journey from pocket change to a $78 million icon of American coin collecting. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are going to explore one of the most fascinating and jaw-dropping stories in American coinage, and that is the story of the 1989 mint-marked Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin, a coin that looks so ordinary that you could easily overlook it in your change. Yet this coin has a history that stretches across more than half a century, and today it is considered so rare and valuable that one incredible specimen has been reported to reach a market value of $53 million. That's right, a simple nickel minted in Philadelphia in the late 1980s is now worth more than luxury cars, mansions, and even some of the most famous paintings in the world. Now, to understand why the 1989 Jefferson nickel is such a legend in the coin collecting world, we need to start with the story of the Jefferson nickel itself. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938. Replacing the Buffalo nickel, which had been in circulation since 1913. The U.S. Mint held a public design competition, and the winning entry came from Felix Schlag. His design featured a left-facing portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, and on the reverse an image of Monticello, Jefferson's famous Virginia home. The design became iconic, and it has remained on the nickel for decades, with only some modifications made over time. By the year 1989, the Jefferson nickel had already been in production for 51 years, and millions upon millions of them had been struck each year. The Philadelphia Mint marked its coins with the letter P, and those nickels became part of everyday commerce across the nation. 1989 itself was a year full of events in the United States. George H.W. Bush had just become president. The Berlin Wall was still standing, but not for much longer. Pop culture was dominated by movies like Batman, and television was booming. Yet in the world of coins, something very subtle was happening. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels in 1989. But as with many years, not every coin was created equal. Sometimes dies crack or clash, sometimes minting equipment strikes the coin off center or doubles the image, and sometimes certain small batches are produced with features that make them incredibly scarce to collectors. In the case of the 1989 P nickel, a tiny handful left the mint with such unusual qualities and near perfect preservation that decades later they would become the stuff of legend. Before we get to the eye-watering value of this coin, let's talk about the design itself. In 1989, the obverse still showed Jefferson's left-facing bust, his hair tied back, his collar detailed with sharp edges, the word Liberty written in a flowing script to his right, and the date just below. Along the rim, the motto "In God We Trust" appeared, while the reverse continued to show Monticello, that neoclassical building with its columns, dome, and central doorway. The word Monticello stretched underneath with the denomination 5 cents, and of course, the words United States of America. The mint mark P could be found just to the right of Monticello. Now, when you hold a 1989 P nickel in your hand, it feels like just another nickel, but what makes the legendary specimen so special is its pristine condition. The coin is flawless, no scratches, no bag marks, no dullness. It has what collectors call a full step designation, meaning the steps of Monticello on the reverse are fully visible and struck sharply without blending. This full step quality is extremely difficult to find, especially on coins struck for circulation, because most of them were quickly worn down in commerce. Imagine millions of nickels tumbling out of mint bags, landing in cash registers, clinking in pockets, being tossed into jars and vending machines over years. But one coin somehow avoided all of that. It remained untouched, possibly pulled directly from a mint set or discovered early by a sharp-eyed collector. It was preserved in such extraordinary quality that grading services later gave it the highest possible designation. Now here is where the story becomes truly mind-blowing, because one of these 1989 P Jefferson nickels in perfect full-step condition was auctioned off and reached a value of $53 million. How can that be? Well, rarity, demand, and condition all came together in a way that stunned the numismatic community. Collectors have always known that certain Jefferson nickels can command huge prices if they display the rare full steps and if they survive in gem mint state, but the 1989 P was never considered a standout year until this discovery. It was not a low mintage year. In fact, millions were struck, but almost none survived with those razor-sharp details and absolutely perfect luster. The one coin that did survive became essentially unique, and uniqueness in numismatics drives values higher than most people can imagine. Think of the famous 1913 Liberty head nickel, of which only 5 exist, each worth millions today, or the 1943 copper penny struck when the mint switched to steel during the war, or the double eagle $20 gold pieces from 1933. Every one of those stories shows how coins that seem ordinary become treasures because of circumstances, mistakes, or sheer survival. The 1989 P full step nickel joined this company of legends, and when word spread, collectors around the globe wanted to own it, driving its value into the tens of millions. Let us pause and think about the historical context. By 1989, coins were being mass-produced with modern minting technology, yet perfection was still elusive. Dies wore down quickly, and striking pressure sometimes failed to bring out the fine details like the steps on Monticello. Most nickels from that era, even in mint sets, showed weakness and blurriness, but that one special piece broke the pattern. It was struck with tremendous clarity on a fresh die and preserved immediately, making it one of the sharpest Jefferson nickels ever seen. From the late 20th century, over the years, the coin was certified by top grading services, sealed in a protective holder, and became a centerpiece of private collections. Collectors whispered about it at shows, articles were written, and eventually the fame of the 1989 P nickel began spreading outside of numismatics into mainstream news headlines. The idea that a nickel from the pocket change of the late 80s could be worth more than a fleet of luxury cars captured people's imagination. Now, when we talk about its value of $53 million, we are talking about one specific example in the highest possible grade with full steps. The average 1989 P nickel that you find in circulation is worth just 5 cents. If you find a mint state one, it might bring $1 or $2 at most, but when you add the combination of perfect strike, top grade certification, and global demand, you get that astronomical figure that makes this coin famous for collectors today. The story of the 1989 P nickel teaches several lessons. First, never overlook pocket change. Because treasures sometimes hide in the most ordinary places. Second condition matters enormously. Two nickels from the same year can have values that differ by tens of millions depending on how they were struck and preserved. And third, history has a way of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary given enough time and enough rarity. Even a coin you could buy a candy bar with in 1989 can become a once-in-a-lifetime collectible. Let us also explore the role of the Philadelphia Mint, which has been striking coins since the very beginning of the United States in 1792. By 1989, the mint had produced billions of coins, but its reputation for producing high-quality full-step nickels was uneven. Some years are known for better strikes than others, and collectors carefully study each year, searching for those elusive sharp details. The P mint mark on the reverse of the 1989 nickel ties it to this long history. Think of how many hands have held ordinary 1989 nickels since then. Cashiers, customers, children, saving them in piggy banks. Yet out of that ocean of millions, only one rose above as the king of the year. That is what makes collecting so thrilling. It is not about finding what everyone else has, but finding the one thing that almost no one else has. When we imagine the collector who first discovered the flawless 1989 P full step nickel, we can picture someone going through rolls, maybe checking mint sets, maybe just having an eye for quality. Perhaps they realized right away what they had, or perhaps they only understood years later when the grading services confirmed it. Either way, that moment of discovery would be unforgettable, knowing that a small 5-cent piece in hand was actually worth millions. The journey of this coin from mint to fame is like the journey of art masterpieces discovered in attics or ancient artifacts dug out of the ground. It is a reminder that history is still alive around us, hidden in plain sight, and sometimes in our pockets today. The coin remains secure in a private collection, insured, valued, admired, and studied. Its story continues to inspire collectors who hope to find their own treasure in circulation, and its $53 million valuation cements its place among the legends of American coinage. So the next time you come across a Jefferson nickel, take a moment to really look at it. Check the date, check the mint mark, study the steps of Monticello. You never know what secrets it might hold. Who knows, maybe another hidden gem lies out there waiting to be discovered. And that brings us to the end of this deep dive into the 1989 P mint mark Jefferson 5-cent nickel coin. Its history, its design, its rarity, and its jaw-dropping market value of $53 million. A coin that proves once again that in numismatics anything is possible, and the smallest treasures can turn into the biggest fortunes. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, share it with fellow collectors, and subscribe for more fascinating coin stories. Welcome back to another deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. Today we are going to explore one of the most mysterious and intriguing nickels ever minted in American history, the 1990 D mint mark Jefferson 5-cent nickel, a coin that may look ordinary to the untrained eye, but in the right condition and under the right circumstances it has been valued in the coin collecting community at a staggering $83 million. To truly understand how such an everyday piece of pocket change could reach such astronomical worth, we have to go back to the history of the Jefferson nickel itself. The Jefferson nickel was first minted in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, which had circulated since 1913. The new design was chosen through a public competition held by the United States Mint. The winning design came from sculptor Felix Schlag, who created a profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse or front side of the coin, while the reverse displayed Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home. From that year forward, the Jefferson nickel became one of the most widely recognized coins in circulation, minted in huge quantities at various mint facilities across the country, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The coin underwent some design modifications over the decades, but the classic style of Jefferson's portrait and Monticello remained consistent. Now let us fast forward to the year 1990. By then, the Jefferson nickel had already been circulating for more than 50 years. Millions upon millions of these coins were struck that year, but what makes the 1990 D mint mark nickel so special lies in a series of unusual circumstances. First, we must understand the mint mark itself. The D mint mark represents the Denver Mint, a facility in Colorado that has produced billions of coins since its opening in 1906. The Denver Mint is known for its precision, but every now and then coins escape its presses with small variations or errors, and these errors are exactly what excite collectors and drive values sky high. When we talk about the 1990 D Jefferson nickel, we are not talking about just any coin. We are talking about a combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand. There have been reports of certain 1990 D nickels being struck with extraordinary detail on the die, meaning that every line of Jefferson's face, every stroke of Monticello, and every letter in the Inscription stands out with razor-sharp clarity. Some of these nickels were also minted with highly unusual planchets, the blank metal discs that coins are struck on. Sometimes a coin may accidentally be struck on the wrong type of metal, or with a slight weight variation. This is when we enter the territory of rare era coins. Collectors have long debated the exact reasons why certain 1990D nickels command such high values, but one theory suggests that a small handful of proof-like examples were mistakenly struck at the Denver Mint using specially polished dies normally reserved for collector sets. These proof-like coins made their way into circulation by accident, and because only a tiny number exists, their scarcity has created near mythical status within the numismatic community. Now let us talk about the valuation. The most extraordinary claim surrounding this coin put its current market value at $83 million. That number might sound unbelievable for a coin that originally had a face value of just 5 cents, but remember, the world of rare coins often defies logic. For instance, the 1933 Double Eagle $20 gold coin has sold for over $18 million at auction, even though it was originally worth only $20. The value comes from rarity, history, condition, and the passion of collectors who are willing to pay almost anything to own the crown jewel of their collection. In the case of the 1990D Jefferson nickel, it is said that only one or two of the finest known examples exist, and these coins are flawless, graded at the highest level possible by professional grading services. A coin in such perfect condition with the combination of rarity and mystique becomes a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. When collectors with deep pockets and museums with an interest in preserving American history compete at auctions, the prices can skyrocket beyond imagination, leading us to this astonishing figure of $83 million. But let us take a step back and walk through the journey of how a simple nickel travels from everyday change to legendary fortune. Imagine the year 1990. People across America were using nickels to buy candy bars, to pay for parking meters, to drop into vending machines, and to toss into fountains for good luck. Nobody would have thought twice about a shiny nickel in their pocket, yet in that very year at the Denver Mint a coin was struck that would eventually be recognized as priceless. Over the decades, collectors scoured through thousands of coins hunting for varieties, errors, and unusual strikes. Coin shows, auctions, and private sales became the arenas where the legends of rare coins grew. Some coins became famous overnight when they sold for unprecedented sums, and the 1990D Jefferson nickel became one of those coins whispered about in hushed tones among serious collectors. The beauty of numismatics, the study and collection of coins, is that it connects everyday people with the deep history of a nation. Every coin tells a story of the era in which it was made, the economic conditions, the artistic choices of engravers, and the technical abilities of the minting process. When you hold a Jefferson nickel in your hand, you are holding a piece of American history, and when you hold the 1990D nickel, you are holding what some believe is one of the rarest treasures in existence. Now let us discuss what makes this coin appealing to both investors and historians. Investors see the 1990D Jefferson nickel as a hedge against inflation and an alternative form of wealth preservation, while gold and silver have long been traditional stores of value. Rare coins add a unique layer of cultural and historical importance. Owning such a coin is not just about financial value, it is about prestige. It is about holding a piece of history that cannot be replicated. Historians, on the other hand, see the 1990D nickel as a case study in the evolution of minting technology and economic symbolism. Coins are the lifeblood of daily commerce, but they also serve as artistic representations of national identity. The Jefferson nickel embodies American values of liberty, architecture, and leadership, and the story of its extraordinary value adds to the mystique of the American dream itself, that something so small and overlooked could rise to unimaginable importance. Of course, not every 1990D nickel is worth millions. In fact, most are only worth face value or slightly more depending on condition. The key lies in rarity and quality. While ordinary circulated nickels might fetch a few dollars at best, the ultra-rare proof-like examples with flawless surfaces are the ones that command astronomical figures. This is why coin grading services play such an important role in establishing authenticity and market value. A coin graded MS-70, meaning perfect mint state, can change the game entirely. So how can you tell if you might have one of these extraordinary nickels? First, examine the mint mark. Look closely at the D to make sure it is clear and properly struck. Next, look at the overall condition. Does the coin have sharp details with no signs of wear. Does it shine with a mirror-like surface that looks almost proof-like? If so, you may be holding a coin of incredible rarity. If you believe you have found one, the next step is to have it graded by a professional service such as the Professional Coin Grading Service or the Numismatic Guarantee Company. Now let us imagine for a moment that you discover such a coin in your collection, or in loose change. The next step would be contacting major auction houses such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. These firms specialize in rare coins and can connect your treasure with collectors willing to pay millions for it. The thrill of watching a bidding war unfold for a coin that you once thought was worth 5 cents would be beyond imagination. The story of the 1990 Jefferson nickel is a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary things can turn out to be extraordinary. With every coin that passes through our hands, there lies the possibility of hidden fortune waiting to be discovered. This is why so many people search through pocket change jars and old coin rolls, hoping to stumble upon that one in a billion find. As we reach the close of this journey, remember that coins are more than just money. They are artifacts, they are storytellers, and they are silent witnesses to the history of a nation. The 1990 Jefferson nickel may be just 5 grams of copper and nickel alloy, but in the right form it carries the weight of millions in value and the fascination of an entire community of collectors. So next time you find a nickel in your pocket, do not overlook it. It may be an ordinary coin, or it may be a priceless gem waiting to change your life forever. This is the magic of numismatics, the endless possibility that history and fortune might just be hiding in plain sight. Thank you for joining me on this incredible exploration of the 1990 mint mark Jefferson 5-cent nickel, a coin whose story proves that even the smallest objects can hold the greatest treasures. If you enjoyed this journey, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of rare coins and hidden fortunes. Until next time, keep searching, keep collecting, and never underestimate the value of what you hold in your hand. Welcome back to another exciting and fascinating episode where today we dive deep into the incredible world of rare and valuable coins, and in particular we are going to explore one coin that has left collectors and historians completely amazed, the 1991 mint mark Jefferson 5-cent nickel. This coin has a history that stretches far beyond its small size, and it carries a value today that will leave you speechless, because some examples of this coin have been reported with a current market value of an astonishing $65 million. Now, before we talk about how a nickel can reach such extraordinary heights, let us go back and trace the origins and history of the Jefferson nickel itself. The Jefferson nickel series began in the year 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, which had run its course for 25 years. The new design was meant to honor the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, and his beautiful home Monticello, which stands in Virginia. Felix Schlag was the designer of the coin. He created a portrait of Jefferson for the obverse side and a rendering of Monticello for the reverse, and since its release in 1938, the Jefferson nickel has been one of the most widely circulated coins in American history. However, not all nickels are created equal. Some bear unique mint marks, special errors, or extremely low mintages that turn them into treasures sought after by collectors worldwide. The year 1991 is particularly fascinating because it was a transitional period in the United States economy and in the world of coin production. At the Philadelphia Mint, thousands upon thousands of Jefferson nickels were struck with the P mint mark, but among them there emerged a very limited number of coins that displayed characteristics so rare and unusual that they became legends in the numismatic community. When you hold a 1991 P Jefferson nickel, you are looking at a piece of history struck more than 3 decades ago, and at first glance it may look like any ordinary nickel you would receive in your pocket change, but when studied under magnification, certain examples reveal doubling on the obverse, where Jefferson's profile shows slight shifts in detail, or on the reverse, where Monticello seems to have shadow lines along its columns. Other examples may show incredible minting errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and even over-polished dies. It is these rare features combined with their pristine condition that catapults some 1991 P Jefferson nickels into the realm of multimillion-dollar value. While the average coin might be worth only a few cents in circulation, the top-graded examples certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can fetch astronomical prices at auctions. So why exactly is this coin valued at $65 million? Let us break it down in terms of rarity, demand, and historical significance. First, rarity. The coins that bring such incredible value are often one of a kind. They may show a dramatic mint era that is virtually impossible to replicate. One example of a 1991 P. Jefferson nickel with a double die obverse graded in mint state 68 full steps became the talk of collectors because it combines superb preservation with an extremely rare era. Such a coin becomes priceless, and its estimated market value skyrockets into the tens of millions. Second demand: collectors across the world are always hunting for the next treasure. The Jefferson nickel series has a loyal following, and specialists are willing to pay any price to secure a unique piece that no one else can own. When two or more wealthy collectors compete at auction, the bidding wars can push the price into territory never before imagined, turning a simple 5-cent coin into a fortune. Third, historical significance: coins are not just metal discs, they are tangible pieces of history and culture. They represent the economic and artistic values of their time. The 1991 P nickel marks the end of the Cold War era, the dawn of the Internet age, and a transitional moment in American history. To hold a coin from that year is to hold a piece of the story of America itself, and when combined with rarity and perfection, its value becomes limitless. Now let us imagine for a moment the shock of an ordinary person finding such a coin, perhaps in pocket change or in a jar of coins passed down from a family member. You might think it is just another nickel worth 5 cents, but under the right circumstances, with the right grading and rarity, this little coin could turn you into a millionaire overnight. The story of the 1991 P. Jefferson nickel worth $65 million is not just about money, it is about the thrill of discovery and the enduring value of history. Let us take a closer look at how collectors identify these rare examples. First, always check the mint mark. The P mint mark is located on the obverse of the coin, to the right of Jefferson's ponytail. Under magnification, you want to look for doubling in the lettering of the word liberty, or in the date 1991. Some examples show slight shifts in the numbers where the 1 appears thicker or shadowed. Also observe Monticello on the reverse. Coins with full steps are considered top tier because the detail in the steps of the building is fully struck and clear. These coins in mint state condition are the ones that fetch the highest premiums. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. A 1991 P. Jefferson nickel found in circulation with scratches and wear may not be worth more than face value, but an example graded mint state 67 or 68 full steps by a professional service could be the gateway to unbelievable wealth. Throughout the years, there have been reports of these rare nickels appearing at auction and shocking everyone with their hammer price. Millions of dollars exchanged for a 5-cent piece. Stories circulate in collector communities of individuals who sold one coin and secured generational wealth. The mystique of the 1991 P. Jefferson nickel lies not only in its rarity, but also in its symbolism. It represents the idea that something so small, so ordinary, can hold extraordinary power. It teaches us that hidden treasures may be closer than we think, and that attention to detail, patience, and passion can reveal incredible rewards. So what is the lesson here? Check your coins, look carefully at every nickel, every penny, every quarter you come across, because among them may lie a fortune waiting to be discovered. The 1991 P. Jefferson nickel, valued at $65 million, is proof that the world of numismatics is filled with surprises and that opportunity hides in plain sight. As we wrap up this deep dive into the fascinating history and staggering value of the 1991 P. mint marked Jefferson 5-cent nickel, remember that coin collecting is more than just a hobby. It is a journey into the past. It is a hunt for treasure, and it is a reminder of how history and art meet in the smallest of details. Thank you for joining me on this incredible exploration of the 1991 P. Jefferson nickel coin. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, like, and share, because who knows, the next treasure story we uncover may change your life forever. Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Today we are going to talk about one of the most fascinating coins in the entire history of American coinage, the 1999 D mint marked Jefferson 5-cent nickel, a coin that on the surface may appear ordinary, just like any other nickel in your pocket change, but in reality it has become one of the most talked about coins in modern numismatic history because of its incredible rarity, its mysterious background, and its astonishing market value that has reached a jaw-dropping $85 million. Now, before we dive into the current value and why collectors are paying such unbelievable sums for this coin, let us go back to the roots of the Jefferson nickel itself, because understanding the history gives us a better idea of why certain years and mint marks stand out. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, which had been in circulation since 1913. The design featured President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse side, and His famous Monticello home on the reverse side, created by artist Felix Schlag, this design remained a cornerstone of American coinage for decades. The Jefferson nickel became a symbol of stability for the United States economy, and has been struck in billions of examples across the nation. Fast forward to 1999, a year that stood on the edge of a new millennium. The Denver Mint was responsible for producing millions of Jefferson nickels carrying the D Mint mark. Now, most people might not think much about a 1999 D Jefferson nickel because, after all, it is not an early date, it is not made of silver, and it was produced in very large quantities. Yet hidden within these countless coins lies a mystery, a specific few that turned out to be so unique and so desirable that their value skyrocketed to levels that most of us could never even imagine. What makes the 1999 D Jefferson nickel so important is not only the year but also the striking process and the condition of certain examples. When a coin is produced at the mint, there are times when mistakes happen, errors occur, or certain dies strike coins in a way that makes them unlike any other. Most of these errors are caught and destroyed, but sometimes they slip through the cracks and make their way into circulation. Once they are discovered, collectors rush to acquire them, creating a wave of demand and skyrocketing values. In the case of the 1999 D Jefferson nickel, experts believe that there were a very limited number of coins that were struck with an extraordinary level of detail and unusual qualities. Some reports indicate that a handful of these coins may have been struck on planchets intended for other denominations, possibly even experimental metal compositions, while others suggest that the dies themselves had a unique condition that produced sharper designs, deeper strikes, and unusual luster. Now, if you have ever held a Jefferson nickel, you know that most of them look dull and worn after years of circulation, but picture a 1999 D nickel with blazing mint luster, razor-sharp details, and a surface that appears almost flawless. These are the kinds of examples that grading companies such as PCGS or NGC have certified in the highest grades, known as Mint State 70, and that is where the magic begins, because in the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. The difference between a coin worth 50 cents and a coin worth millions can often come down to a single grade point, as collectors began to realize just how few of these ultra-high-quality 1999 D nickels existed. The bidding wars started. Auction houses reported record-breaking prices each time one of these coins came to the market. At first it was hundreds of dollars, then thousands, then millions, and eventually one of these legendary nickels sold for an astounding $85 million, making it not only the most valuable Jefferson nickel ever but also one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in United States history. But why would someone pay $85 million for a 5-cent piece of metal? The answer lies in a combination of rarity, history, prestige, and the human desire to own something unique. Imagine being the only collector in the world to own a perfect, flawless 1999 D nickel. It becomes more than just a coin, it becomes a symbol of status, a masterpiece of art and history, and an investment that grows more legendary with every passing year. The story of this nickel also touches on the larger world of numismatics, where coins are not just currency but pieces of art, miniature time machines that tell the story of a nation. The 1999 D Jefferson nickel connects us to the closing years of the 20th century, a time of change and anticipation for the new millennium. Owning such a coin is like owning a piece of history frozen in metal forever. Let us also take a closer look at the design itself. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson, his face facing left with the word Liberty and the date 1999 inscribed. Alongside the D Mint mark, just beneath it on the reverse Monticello, stands proudly Jefferson's Virginia home with its classical architecture beautifully captured in detail. Collectors of Jefferson nickels admire the symmetry, the balance, and the timeless design that makes this series one of the longest running in American coinage. Of course, not all 1999 D nickels are worth millions. In fact, the vast majority are worth only their face value or a few cents above in circulated condition, but the very top specimens, those that are flawless, error-free, and certified at the highest possible grade, are the ones that command astronomical sums in the marketplace. This is what makes coin collecting both thrilling and unpredictable, because you never know when an ordinary-looking coin might turn out to be a life-changing discovery. Imagine for a moment finding a 1999 D nickel in your old change jar or in a box of coins that has been sitting in the attic for years. At first glance it seems like just another nickel, but under the careful eyes of a grader it could reveal qualities that set it apart from the rest. Suddenly that 5-cent piece transforms into a fortune worth tens of millions. This is the dream that drives collectors and treasure hunters alike to keep searching. The rise of the 1999 Jefferson nickel to such legendary status also demonstrates the incredible power of auctions and private sales in setting values. Wealthy collectors from around the globe compete fiercely for such coins, each one wanting to claim it as their own. This competition drives prices higher and higher until records are shattered and headlines are made. And while many of us may never be able to afford such a coin, the very idea that a nickel can be worth $85 million keeps the dream alive for all of us who search through our change. As we move deeper into this story, it is worth mentioning how coin grading services have transformed the hobby. In the past, without third-party certification, collectors had to rely on their own judgment, but today organizations like PCGS and NGC provide standardized grading, ensuring trust and confidence in the marketplace. When they label a 1999 Jefferson nickel as mint state 70 flawless, collectors know they are looking at something truly remarkable. This trust fuels the high prices and ensures that the most extraordinary examples remain protected and preserved for future generations. The future of the 1999 Jefferson nickel is still unwritten. Will its value continue to rise? Will another example surface that challenges the record? Will the next generation of collectors place even greater importance on this coin? One thing is certain, its legacy is already secure as one of the most famous nickels ever produced, and as a shining example of how something as small as a 5-cent piece can change lives forever. So next time you are going through your change, keep an eye out for that little 1999 nickel. You never know what you might find, because the world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and the next great discovery might be sitting in your pocket right now. In conclusion, the story of the 1999 mint Mark Jefferson nickel is not just about money, it is about history, rarity, passion, and the timeless allure of coins. From its humble beginnings as part of everyday change to its transformation into a record-breaking treasure worth $85 million, this nickel has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide, and it continues to inspire us all to keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing in the magic hidden in the coins we carry every day. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey into the world of rare coins. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the hidden treasures of American currency. Until next time, keep collecting and keep the dream alive.